Awesome. Okay, guys. So now that we have everyone here that's going to be here today, let's go ahead and run around and do introductions for our guests, and then we can get this presentation started. To start, my name is Kate Thomas. I am the speaker of the Student Senate.
My name is Caleb Stout. I'm the student body president.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marcus. I'm representing graduate school.
I'm Drew Bellamy. I'm senator for the College of Education.
I'm Katie Zacco. I'm a senator for the College of Business.
My name is Jacob Blunt. I'm a student service speech.
I'm Dakota Broughton. I am strategic oversight chair and representative of the College of Engineering.
Vince Weber. I teach business at K-State Salina, but I'm the faculty senate rep.
Randy Kerma. I'm the Cox Sticker for the College of Architecture.
I'm Robert Brutner. I'm the representative for the College of Arts and Science, and I'm the Popular Student Senator for that college.
Thomas Lee, Vice President for Academic Success and Student Affairs.
Ethan Erickson, Administration and Finance.
Chuck Tabor Provost.
Sharon Hurwick, Business Manager for the College of Architecture.
And I am Michael McClure, the Dean of Architecture, Planning and Design.
Awesome. Can we have one on Zoom?
Yeah, Kelvin's on Zoom.
Kelvin, do
Yeah,
you
can
want to tell?
Yeah, Kelvin Peterson, part of College of Ag Ed.
You guys want to go ahead and get started?
Sure. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to come here today to talk to you all a little bit about our one fee in the college. It's called the Tech Fee. We have some handouts. One is the pie chart from the presentation we got earlier, and then the percentages of how we use the Tech Fee. And the other is a series of testimonials. I've been practicing this presentation and communicating with various people, some faculty, and our Dean Student Advisory Council. And you can see their support of the Tech Fee. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through last 3 years of our spending and then kind of break down each of those sub categories and tell you what this money is going for, so how it benefits the students. So first, there it is. Since the purpose of this presentation is to talk about how we're using the money towards this purpose, there you can see the purpose of the Tech Fee that comes from our records. The purpose of the fee is to enhance educational experience by providing additional equipment, technology support, and continue the professional mentoring programs for students. And that professional mentoring program we call APE Pro in our college. And I thought this was interesting as I was doing my research. As you all know, I'm new, so I started going back and seeing, looking at the history of the fee. The last time it was raised in 2018 from $35 to its current $55. You can see here the justification that was given on the left, and on the right is a poster that was produced back then to communicate to the students what their fee was going for. So that's a historical poster back from 2018. But really, this was an increase where the dean's office went to the students and asked them to vote for a fee increase themselves, so that we continue to be being nationally recognized, be on top of the curve of having technology for our professional programs across the college. And thanks to the fee, we continue to do that. So you can see our expenses, and these have been reconciled by Division of Financial Services. If you go through, and I'll go through and explain each one of these. Our new building, known as Seton Hall, which is a state-of-the-art facility, is a fairly large part of the expense. That's 23%. Computer supply and software, so that's cores and software, et cetera, that's 6.7%. Computers and equipment, so that would be new computers, all other kind of monitors around the school, that's 11%. And then a big chunk is the salaries for our IT professionals, for our APE Pro staff, and for our fabrication facility professionals in our fabrication lab. That's 34%. At COVID, a program was started where we started buying iPads for every first year student. Personally, I think this is a brilliant idea, which I had come up with it, because where I was before, we weren't quite sure at that time as faculty what students had, what kind of software they had. So this program, during COVID, we knew what every student had, so we could teach to that software. And we still use it today, right? We're about to be in our 5th year of that program, so every first year comes in, they get an iPad, and then our faculty know that, and they can work their pedagogies around that. At 4.4%, you can see our shop and student salaries. So that's IT, shop, all the student workers come out of that part of it. 2.9% is shop equipment. So that's buying new table saws, sanders, et cetera, as they wear out, because we're trying to keep it up to date. Then teaching supplies at 7%. And that is all the consumables that our students have. So they have available to them glue, screws, foam to make models, softwoods, those sort of things. And so that's that part. If you go back a couple of years, you can see, well, here's the pie chart which I have in front of you. So you see the breakout, how we spend this money. Back in 2022, it's very, very similar. In 2021, it's very similar, except for we had started the payments on the building yet. So there, you can see this, it's all the same components and roughly the same percentages, just without the building payment. So just really quickly, we'll go through how each of these benefit the students. Our state-of-the-art facilities is obviously a benefit to the students. It's I think it's one of the best design science school facilities in the country. It offers these really tech-rich learning and teaching opportunities in various scales, from our fabrication labs to our computer labs to our print rooms, our classrooms, and our studios, which is a big part of our pedagogy. And our studios are where the students do their learning by doing and design their projects. Computer supply and software and computer tech equipment, those are pretty self-explanatory, the software and hardware and keeping up to date for the students. You have to stop if you have any questions as we go along. So this 34%, again, this is for the staff salaries for our IT professionals. You can see on the left there, the 6 people, 6 positions that this part of the key hires. Our IT manager, our tech support specialist, an AV support specialist. So that's all our tech support. And then in the shop, fabrication shops, we have a shop manager and a shop teaching assistant. And then we have our APD Pro project coordinator. And you can see the explanation there. APD Pro is the professional development program offered to all of our students. And this is just an idea from the website of all the different activities on the right that APD Pro offers and the requirements. This is a co-curricular certification that our students can get. So you can see the requirements as you go through our 5-year curriculum, how that APD Pro really supports professional development for our students. First year iPad program, I spoke a little bit about that. Every student coming in first year gets an iPad, and that's used in their curriculums. Again, our students, our student workers in both the IT and the fabrication lab. That's 4.4% of our tech fee every year. And then our teaching supplies, again, those are the consumables. That's the foam, the screws, the glue. There's also consumables in the shop, it's the blades and those sort of things that are equipment. I can see now that we're missing the shop equipment subcategory, but I already explained to you what that is. That's new equipment, and we have 5-year plans set out so that our shop coordinator, when I first got here, he met with me. We talked about what equipment needs to be replaced as we go on, so we're forecasting out that shop equipment. And this fee continues to have impact. We're continuing to use it for facilities and technological improvements. So, just today, I got a report from an engineer. We're updating our facility so that we can bring in a new laser cutter. We did some renovations to Seton South to have this new large classroom from 2001. And, we're preparing right now, we're saving up for major server upgrades that are going to have to happen. We hope in 2 years, although my IT person told me maybe next year, depending on how healthy it is. So we continue to plan ahead. We're able to plan ahead because of this. I won't read this out, but again, I think what's important for me to tell you all is that these fees are used for the students for a world-class education that is very much on the cutting edge of technology, the technologies that our students are going to be using when they go out into the workforce. We have a very high placement rate out of our college. I think a large part of that is because our students are ready to hit the workforce, ready to go into these firms, and are trained in the technology, so they're going to be using that. It didn't make it into this presentation, but I do want to read out loud just an excerpt from the my dean student at the council. I gave them this presentation last week. And in their statement, they say the Dean Student Advisory Council recognizes the importance of this fee as it ensures the college is provided the resources needed to give the best education, proper preparation for the students' future professional experiences. For students who reap the benefits from the services this fee provides daily, we urge the importance of the continuation of these services and support the fee that ensures them. And you can read the other testimonies if you like. There's one from an alum who happened to be here as a student leader when we raised the fee the last time. And then the two faculty talking about how important it is to their teaching needs. So I'll leave it there and take any questions you all have.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming to present to us.
Yeah.
I will open the floor for questions. Yes.
Different architecture majors utilize the architecture shops with differing degrees of intensity, right? So can an architecture student that doesn't utilize the shop conceivably ever is still paying the same amount of money towards the shop and its supplies, right?
That's right.
Has there ever been any discussion about maybe splitting that to certain majors paying for the shop that they use for the majors that don't use the shop, not paying that portion of the fee?
I'm not sure about the past conversations, but those conversations have come up in the last couple of weeks as I presented this to our student senators and to my deep center. Especially with the onboarding of our newest non-studio based degree, which is a real estate degree. Yes, we're absolutely need to start that discussion and start talking about how our various students utilize the tech that is paid for by the tech fee. Thank you.
I have a quick question about the iPads. So tell me more about that. So do people keep them once they get them, and or do they check them back out or check them back into you once they're done with them, or?
They keep them. And as they move through the curriculum, the idea was that they would continue to be used in support classes, because at a certain point they're not strong enough to use the design software used in other classes. But they would be used for special projects in history classes or other technology classes. And that, a lot like our different majors, is a point of consideration right now. It's one of the first things that when I came in that people wanted to speak to me about is that, after this first cycle, the class that's graduating this year is the class that got the first iPads. So we're going to go through and review how they use the iPads. They're still, as integrated into the curriculum as we want them to be. And I don't have any scientific studies. From what I've heard, there's opinions on all sides of it.
Follow up. So can you explain for the group what savings does APD get for getting them in bulk versus just a student just going out and buying their own iPad or tablet or other device? if that's available?
I don't have any information on that. I don't know. It's a good question.
I don't know if you guys ever tried computers or anything like that, but it seems to me that specifically, at least for the College of Engineering, computers would be a lot more useful than iPads would be.
Yeah.
Is that the case? Are you guys able to fully use those to their, like, you guys are able to use those with the software that you need to teach correctly and everything?
The students still need to buy their own computers to get from second year on. So this is not to replace high-end computer, right?
Just to help.
This is for the first year, so that we can have assignments that are about digital representation, ideas, assignments about design principles, and using the software that's available on those iPads.
Thank you.
I have another question about the iPad. So are they like the latest gen iPads or like a couple years old because they're cheaper, or what's that?
They are the newest iPads.
Brandon?
Do you know if any of the funds goes for big organizations like Block Club, DigiFab, or ESAC?
It does not. It does in sometimes in tangential ways, right? So support of the student clubs comes out of my Needs Excellence Fund. That's how I've been supporting the student organizations. The Plot Club and the Digital Fabrication Club are student run. They make their own money. And they actually each turn a little bit of a profit. So when I say continuing impact, that is because the continuing impact about the laser cutter is that the Digital Fabrication Club came to me and said, "Dean McClure, well, campus, we need a new laser cutter." I said, "Great." Then I heard that we had a building report saying we didn't have enough exhaust. So we can use the tech fee to upgrade the exhaust so that they can buy their own laser cutter out of their profits. Although I will probably buy that laser cutter. But the first thing we have to do is get the building so that it can take the additional laser cutter.
And follow up, do you happen to know, I know it was before you got here, do you know where the money for the last 3 plotters came from? Because I know that Plot Club did not pay for those out of their money.
You share?
I have to look that up. I'm almost sure that the dean's office ordered that at some level. I'm sure that we picked up part of that somehow.
Yeah.
Because all the students use, a lot of the students use that. Yeah, I have to look that up to bring back.
So about the salaries, and I apologize if you missed this, trying to take notes and ask questions up or get questions up to you. For the 34.4% of salaries, one, a breakdown between like full-time, part-time, I'm assuming they're all full-time, I don't know. 2, is this full salary and benefits or just like the salary? 3, 9-month, 12-month, any additional info about that?
As our HR specialist, I'll share an answer.
So they're all 12-month employees and they're all full-time. And it does include the benefits. So as you can tell by that amount, they're not like extremely high paid employees. I think they probably range from maybe the high 40s to above that. For the IT manager being the employee, but yes, it does include all the benefits, which is like another 18% on top of their salary.
Thank you.
I had a question. It looks like you carried over funds from last year to this year to spend based on what it said. It says carry over from previous used to cover expense total. Is the current balance 0 or are you still carrying over funds?
It kind of depends when things hit between the fiscal years. So like they always try to order the iPads, which is about a couple $100,000 during the summer. Sometimes it falls in the previous fiscal year, and sometimes it falls in the current fiscal year. And then we've also been saving up money for that exhaust. So we try to carry over a little bit for things that we know are coming up. And so, the IT manager has a whole schedule. I think it's 5 years out at least, of everything he needs to buy during the next 5 years and how much we need to reserve or encumber to make sure that we're able to buy all the things that IT needs and all that upgrades, or just to keep current, not even really improving anything, but just at least keeping current. So there's always a carryover just because of where things fall in the fiscal year and what we're planning on for the next 5 years. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, you answered it beautifully. In fact, understanding that you have a huge hit at the beginning of the year before your money comes in,
Right.
carrying over a little bit seems obvious.
Almost
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, we have to.
Brandon, do you have a question?
Yeah, I know it's pretty fresh, and I know the public, since you sent the message out to the whole college, but do you see in the future, next time that this feed is up for review, it needing to change based on interior design being swallowed by the college architecture?
Yeah, I think that, you know, since I've been here, I've had a lot of discussions about all sorts of things, but, you know, a lot of them have been about the tech fee the last time that it was raised, if or not, we need to raise it. Some people think we need to raise it in order to go to the next level. The state is ahead of the game as we have them. Other people are giving advice to it's fine to where it is. They're changing our additional majors, the possibility of moving ID over may or may not change it. Their fee structure where they are now is pretty much the same as our fee structure. So I think that's going to be kind of a wash. We'll still be able to provide the same resources to every AP design student. But I think there are other initiatives like the communication with the students, what their fee is going for. The last time that happened was back in 2018. And so when I presented this to the advisory council and to our senators, I realized that, you know, they've been turned over in the student body and they weren't aware. So we need to double down in the future to make sure that the students are aware of what their fees are going. And questions about the iPad program? You know, is it still useful? Is it still a good use of the funds, or is it something that we should sunset and it was just a COVID condition? All these things I think are moving forward. These are the discussions we need to have. So probably something like that.
Yeah, Jacob.
Looking at the revenue and expenses of the fields, there's a $236,000 difference between them. The expenses being higher, and that figure in FY23 than it was in 22. How is that getting back to those line items? And then, you know, what's causing that difference to grow year to year?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Ask it one more time.
I apologize. Looking at slide 4, the revenue from the fee was 1.1 million. The expense total was 1.3 for those items. And that's a slightly larger difference than it was in FY22. Right. Do you know what's causing the expenses to grow, or what's the primary driver there? And then how is that getting backfilled?
The first note says carryover.
Yeah, so the expenses growing is because the cost of iPads, cost of everything is going up, right? As far as the particulars and the numbers on why we have certain carryovers, you know, that again, like Sharon said, it has to do with our long-range plans. So we are basically saving up because we know we have big purchases coming up in the future. So I can't speak to any of those specifically, but I will tell you that we have a sub-budget for IT that was presented to me, and I have that 5-year plan. And we are developing, there's an annual budget for the shop, and I asked for a 5-year sub-budget. So again, plan for large purchases for CNC milling machines and larger pieces of machinery. So that, I'm not answering your question specifically, but in general, that's what those the carryover is all about.
And if you look at the 2021 slide, the expense is 800,000 and revenues millions. There was 200 from that year for sure. I bet you there was even probably maybe 100,000 or a few 100,000 from that year prior to that. So it's kind of, you know, through the years, because we did get some COVID relief money. So some of the things that we bought for students because of COVID, we got some backfill because of COVID relief funding that came from the federal level. So it's just kind of a built up year to year. So yeah, I see what you're saying, that it looks like we spent more than we had, and we did that 1 year, but it has carried over the 2 years prior. And I think we did get because of the COVID relief, you say that we get back something.
Yes, I know we did. Right, those expenditures that year.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Dakota?
Are you guys carrying any more over to next year?
we'll always carry some over.
Okay.
I've never spent technically out to nothing, just because we don't know if the server's gonna break, or a CNC router's gonna break, or there's something so students can't finish the project that's gonna break, or some kind of computer problem. So yeah, we'll never spend it down totally, just in case there's a big issue, because we really don't have much, other, available funding a lot. I mean, we could look, we might, yeah. So we don't have like a huge OD balance, another operating expense or a huge sponsored research overhead account. So this is one of our main accounts, and we spend a lot. And so we would have to make sure that we have some money there sufficient just in case there's something that comes up that will be detrimental to the students' experience. I mean, that would be terrible if something happened and we couldn't fix it right away.
Are all the things that are funded by this fee available to all students paying this fee?
They are.
So because I know that like RecD doesn't have a studio, but do they still have access to like the equipment within them?
Yeah, they can still, all students can use the shops. Whether or not they're required to use the shops by their coursework is a different question.
Do RecD students get iPads?
That's a good question. I don't know. Sorry.
Real estate, their new non-shop major.
There's our first year,
I'm like.
It is the first year of, the real estate and community development,
our entering class came this year.
yes.
I would assume yes, if they're first year student, but.
Just a question.
I
don't wanna,
could text some of them, I'm an RCP minor.
Yeah.
So I'm in sometimes at the college paying part of the fee, but I know lots of people that.
yeah, I think it's, this conversation is going very closely to where the conversation went when I was talking to the students. And to me, I think that this is a really important conversation to have about how we're spending the money. But I kept reminding them that this review is really about, are we using the money the way we said we would? So the answer there, I'm confident, is yes. These other questions are important questions we need to answer, to be fair to all of our students. And I think that's going to take some work.
Do you know if the department plans to ask for an increase anytime in the next couple of years?
No, I mean, I'm holding off on asking to increase until we answer some of these other questions that you all saw, right? We're bringing up and that you have been uncovered the last couple of years. I think we need to have a level reset about what the college is now, as opposed to what it was before COVID. And what technology is now, as opposed to what it was back then. I mean, we're all much more tech savvy than we used to be, and so we have a lot more power in our pockets than we used to.
Yes, Brandon.
I have two questions. I guess it sounds like I might have been one of the lucky ones. When my year came in, we were getting Apple pencils in addition to the iPads. Has that been phased out due to the increase of inflation, the cost of things, or are they still getting Apple pencils?
What's that?
They are.
They are. They are.
Yeah, they are. I know I paid your pencil today.
Okay.
So yeah.
I was told by the students, that they weren't getting that.
That's what I heard as well.
Yeah.
Really?
Um,
I'm sure the last year that we
Yeah.
used pencils.
Well, the rationale that I heard, again, all this is kind of polite, right, was that the pencils were a problem because they were easily lost. And there were a lot of students asking for replacement of pencils. And that became a real kind of expectations management issue with our first year office, our student services office. So the decision was made to not offer pencils. But that is very controversial amongst the student body.
And then my second question, I think it needs to happen university-wide, but with us having a top-notch facility, can we be top-notch in our game on informing the students of what the fee goes towards? Because when I was talking with students, they did have no idea what the fee goes.
You're absolutely right.
It's the same thing that goes with the student services fee when we reviewed it last year with the increase. Nobody knows what it goes to.
That's right. Yeah, I think that work needs to be done before we even start thinking about raising. We need to make sure that the students understand what they're getting for the fee, and we're being completely transparent and understanding.
Are you considering including a student focus group to provide input, or are you gonna do a survey to collect information? So, I mean, clearly, your commitment is pretty stable for this next year. You bought the iPads, for example, for the incoming, so you wouldn't expect any changes until 24, 25.
In regards to the iPad program,
Or any changes to what you want to do. I mean,
I think it starts with communication so that the students know what they're getting for the fee. Then it comes down to figuring out what the most controversial parts of this are, right? And so for right now, it really has to do with our non-studio based majors, as far as I understand, but we'd have to do a survey and find out. Non-studio majors and the iPads, those are the ones that seem to come up a lot. And then we would talk to all the different communities, right? So we would poll the student body, we would poll faculty and staff, because there are curricular issues, there's pedagogical issues, there's student services issues, and all those decisions. I don't think it's the exact process, but I mean, it is my leadership way to speak to everybody and gather as much information as possible.
by the way, it sounds like you're doing pretty good with providing, because the program used talking to the students, what is it?
Yeah, it's nationally ranked.
Yeah, so it's not like you're doing something wrong.
The rankings went away a couple of years ago, which is very sad, but when there used to be rankings, we were top 10 in all of our programs. I think the rankings went away because the people that we were ranking above didn't like it. I'm serious, the deans at a certain group of schools said that we're not gonna participate anymore.
So you're top 10 in all the most recent rankings.
Oh, yeah, top 10 in all of
The latest ranking.
the latest ranking.
And they will never change.
Are there further questions?
One more question. So when we, on the topic of other schools that offer architecture programs, as it relates to like technology, what significant deficits do you all see to be just within scope of like, oh man, if only we, not necessarily in relation to like a fee to charge students for it, but like what's just missing from the tech world with architecture?
I can't think of anything. I think that we are top notch. I think that our fabrication and our technology, digital fabrication facilities I put them up against anyone. There are some research centers at universities that are tied with industries such as MIT, University of Michigan, with Detroit, that have much larger robot arms, et cetera. And when I came in, I asked the faculty if they thought we needed a robot arm, because that's sort of the thing these days. And they said, no, I don't think we need that. And then I found out later that there is one available to our faculty at the Salina campus. So that's the only sort of piece of equipment I can think of as far as software, hardware, digital fabrication. I would put us up against anybody.
Thank you.
I don't know.
What's that?
Do you know if there are departmental fees on top of this college fee?
There are. Yeah. The good and bad of this is we kept it simple. We have one fee. We decided the technology was the way that we could offer this world-class education. And that's it.
I think it's worth pointing out to the committee that that's a philosophical decision that the university made a couple of years ago towards a simplified fee structure across the university. Because one of the challenges we heard from students and parents was they didn't understand their bills, they didn't understand the complexities of fees. So we tried to reduce like departmental level fees, things like that, make it similar. Yeah.
I don't know. You just pointed out, I know there's gonna be some restructuring going on, but it looks like interior design has a $30 departmental fee within the college HHS. Do You see that?
If you add all their departmental and their college fee together, it equals almost our tech fee, I think it's off by $2.
Okay.
So what I see is, we haven't worked any of that out yet, we're still talking about it, but they're equivalent, so it's not, they'll come over and they'll pay about the same. And be able to get the same, level of support.
Are there further questions from the committee?
Sorry, I thought of one. So when it comes to the labs or like computer labs, is it secure just through like key code or swipe card or ID card?
Our building is open 24/7 through, key card swipe.
That's tied to your student ID. For students in the college.
You know if that works for people that are minoring in any of the college? I've never tried.
So right now,
Is it locked right now?
yes.
Are there further questions? And reminder that if you guys have any questions for the decision next week, feel free to email those to me and I will send them over. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Sorry that we're not in costume. We were for our Senate meeting last Thursday.
I'm dressed up and say, you got a sign for us.
I did wear costumes, David, it was too hot.
Just worried about that. Oh, another note for the committee, I do have the meeting minutes from the last time this fee was assessed. Anyone wanted to see that, I know people have requested it, we'll call it back.
If you set a short meeting next week. If that's the case, I'm gonna zoom in.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a Zoom link on all of our agendas, so feel free to do that. Huh?
Is that a handout for the meeting that was last time?
It's everything that Amy could